space. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamari. Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Suklam Bharadram Vishnu Sasivarnam Chaturvujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaye Sarvavignyopashantaye. Sarvavignyopashankam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ram Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ram Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ram Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Ram Ganapataye Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamari. Jai Ganesha Gananata Dayaniti Sakala Vignakara Dura Hamari. Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye 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 Namo Namaha. Om Ekadaya Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Gam Ganapataye Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha.
Namaste. Welcome to our weekly online Satsang. Satsang being a Sanskrit word that literally means community of truth. It's a spiritual community, really, wherever 2 or 3 people on the path of awakening, the flowering of the heart and oneness with the divine, come together to share our journeys and our presence with one another. We have a Satsang, and we're strengthened exponentially when we come together this way. So, please, keep coming. It's a wonderful use for the internet. It kind of redeems some of the other sides of the internet that we can connect across great distances, across all kinds of boundaries. We can come together in the spirit and in truth and share our journeys. We share throughout these webcast satsangs the Flowering Heart Blessing, Hridaya, Vikasa, Diksha, which means Flowering Heart Blessing. It's a direct transmission of divine grace and love and light that catalyzes awakening in the receiver. For those who are already awakening, it speeds up the journey and dissolves blocks. For those who are already awakened, it takes you deeper, because awakening is an endless journey of expansion. So we're so glad that you're here tonight. Please join us in sending the Flowering Heart Blessing to all the participants tonight and to all who will view this video, and there are many more that view it between Monday night to the next Monday night than can be with us live. So keep those folks in mind and hold the intention that when they watch the recording of this satsang, that they will experience the same presence, the same blessing that we experience who are doing it live together. If you experience the Flowering Heart Blessing just once, which you're doing right now, and you connect with the presence, with the energy that's flowing, and you'd like to be a blessing giver, just give the divine a nod and express your willingness to be used as an instrument of grace, and it'll instantly begin to flow through you to anyone whom you hold in your heart with compassion, with the intention that the divine would cause their hearts to flower in oneness with all that is. So receiving the blessing just once initiates you. Technically, you are all now initiated. If you need to know more, go to our website, floweringheart.org, and I think you'll find it a blessing. Announcements? None really, except yesterday we had our monthly interfaith communion with the Cosmic Christ, and I think it was a very important scripture meditation that we went through, and entitled "A House Divided Cannot Stand, Forming a More Perfect Union." And it looks at many areas of our lives and of our societies and of the human family worldwide, where we have deep divisions that point to the impossibility of continuing and standing unless those divisions are somehow bridged with love. And there are a lot of answers in yesterday's meditation, I think. So it's the recording of that is here on Facebook Live. It's also at Vimeo, and it'll stay up so you could watch it anytime you want to. I think that was it for announcements.
Yep.
Okay. So what we like to do is open it for questions and answers about the spiritual journey, about awakening, about divine union, meditation, prayer, past lives, future lives, anything that's on your mind that you might like some insight and clarity. When you ask your questions, it helps us all, because even though our journeys are unique and different, they parallel one another, and we go through a lot of the same challenges and ask a lot of the same questions along the way. So look inside and ask if maybe there's a question you could throw out that would inspire conversation and insight tonight. And before we get to that, I like to give, I see the questions are already coming in, and I have to revisit, I think, one from last week. but we'll get to that in a few minutes. I'd like to share these little articles and quotes from a website called inspiringquotes.com. And tonight, these are quotes about people who struggle with patience, which is probably all of us at one time or another. The author of this little article is Brooke Robinson. Brooke is the Inspiring Quotes editor. She's a bibliophile, a cinephile, which means she loves movies. Is that how you say it? Okay, best I can do. And most importantly, Brooke is a curry enthusiast, which Suzanne and I both relate to. So here's what Brooke writes for anyone who struggles with patience. We don't like to think of ourselves as calm. Oh, uh-oh. And I just lost my computer, so hang on. What next, right? I've got to find the cord. Oh, this is unpleasant. Where is it? And we're still quite live, so you can hear all of my...
And see.
What are we going to do now?
Yay.
Computer didn't give me any warning. It said your battery's low. Boonk. And there it went. So give me a minute and we'll get back on track. Whew. We must be patient. Alrighty. Funny. Okay. Quotes for anyone who struggles with patience. We'd all like to think of ourselves as calm, patient, unflappable people with the ability to wait quietly when need be. But the truth is, we all experience situations that make us feel anxious and impatient. Whether we're anticipating some potentially life-changing news or just sitting in standstill traffic, every one of us has times when we itch so badly for something to happen that the waiting feels almost unbearable. If life came with a remote control, we'd press the fast forward button to find out what happens. I think they made a movie about that. It's in these times that we have to remind ourselves, faster isn't always better. As the saying goes, good things come to those who wait. If we rush through our lives to get to the important bits, we'll miss out on some truly beautiful moments along the way. Patience is also crucial within our relationships. The ability to keep our cool and show understanding when we feel annoyed or even angry with the people we love. Let me read that again. I'm getting my merge which time. The ability to keep our cool and show understanding when we feel annoyed or even angry with the people we love doesn't only preserve our relationships, it transforms them. So next time we're feeling itchy, here's 16 quotes to remind us all how far a little bit of patience can go.
I'm feeling itchy for mosquito bites.
We've been having a
lot of rain, which leads to a lot of mosquitoes.
Deluge of mosquitoes today. Yes, we feel like pincushions that are itchy at the same time. Okay, here's the first quote. The secret of patience is to do something else in the meantime. Croft M. Pence. Patience is not the ability to wait, but the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting.
I like that one.
Joyce Meyer. I knew you would. The hasty stroke goes off to stray. J.R.R. Tolkien. Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Do not now seek answers which cannot be given you, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Rainier Maria Rilke. One moment of patience may ward off great disaster. One moment of impatience may ruin a whole life. Chinese proverb. The river knew now where it was going, and it said to itself, "There's no hurry. We shall get there someday." A. A. Milne. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. There are times to stay put, and what you want will come to you. And there are times to go out into the world and find such a thing for yourself. Lemony Snicket. He that can have patience can have what he will. Benjamin Franklin. We can make our minds so like still water that beings gather about us that they may see, and so live for a moment with a clearer, perhaps even with a fiercer life because of our quiet. William Butler Yeats. Patience is power. Patience is not an absence of action. Rather, it is timing. It waits on the right time to act for the right principles and in the right way. Fulton J. Sheen. Things take the time they take. Don't worry. Mary Oliver. When you wear the weed of impatience in your heart instead of the flower, acceptance with joy, you will always find your enemies get an advantage over you. Hannah Hurnard. What you're missing is that the path itself changes you. Julian Smith. The two most powerful warriors are patience and time. Leo Tolstoy. Trust the hours. Haven't they carried you everywhere up to now? Galway Kinnell. And I thought of the one you've been saying a lot lately. I haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, I just haven't gotten there yet. Yeah.
So what are you going to do? So what do you think? I just haven't gotten there yet. I kept hearing it all through this question.
It's funny, by saying that, it takes the pressure off of you to come up with something right away. And I found that when I use that phrase on something, somebody asks me, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do here, there, everywhere? And if I don't know the answer right away, I just say, I just haven't gotten there yet. And then when I get there, a lot of the things have already solved themselves or fallen into place, or it's been a really fun process. And my patience has grown tremendously.
Okay, well, I said I might answer this, so I better get to it. Last week I sort of tried as much as possible to sidestep a question, which was basically, can you address the idea, the statement, Jesus died for my sins? That's never really landed with me or felt comfortable. I think that's basically what was said. And I said I didn't want to answer that. It's not that I didn't want, well, never mind. It's a longer answer certainly than I gave, but I'll go back to where I left off. First of all, sin doesn't have the kind of meaning that religion has given it over the last couple thousand years. The Greek word translated sin is hamartia, which means to miss the bullseye in archery. So you've got a master archer or a champion or a budding champion who's doing target practice, or they're shooting at the target and they miss the bullseye. That's a hamartia, that's a sin. But come on, I mean, that's how you learn archery. You shoot a lot of arrows. If it was me, I'd be missing the target altogether, not just the bullseye. But there's nothing wrong with the efforts that we make to walk in harmony with the Tao, in harmony with the will of the divine, and we screw up, or we stumble and fall. We have been taught to be more scandalized over our own failures than anybody else. And the divine isn't sitting there looking over your shoulder waiting to judge you for every little mistake. The divine's going, yay, they're trying, get back on and ride, But there's this other side to it, and karma describes it well. In the Bible, it's called the law of sowing and reaping. And one of the basic laws of karma is this, very much the same. Whatever a person sows, they will reap, and many times over. So if we put out love, if we shine the light, if we do acts of kindness will come back to us. If we're generous, people will be generous with us, and many times over. Whatever we put out in the world reflects back. That's the law of karma. Also the negative. If we judge people, if we're mean to people, if we're unkind, then that will tend to come back, and we'll experience unkindness toward us, because that's the seeds we've been sowing in the world, and we reap it many times over. So this has been an issue for humankind for a long, long, long time. In India, this world we're living in is sometimes called karma bhumi, which means simply the world of karma, that everything in this world we're living in right now is a manifestation of cause and effect of intentions and energies that have been put out and are manifesting. And we humans have had a gift for creating more karma faster than we can possibly get out of it. So that's how Kuan Yin here became the first bodhisattva. Kuan Yin was enlightened, and one of the direct disciples of the Buddha, she at that time was called Avalokiteshvara. And she, who was a he at that time, she morphed, made a commitment as the first bodhisattva: I will not leave this world and go into nirvana until all the sentient beings are liberated. And what a wonderful commitment. So Avalokiteshvara was watching countless souls descending, rather than ascending into the light, they were descending into the lower realms, which in India they call hell realms. The Tibetans call them bardos. In India the word is loka. But there's an idea that there are 7 spiritual dimensions below this one, and they're just loosely called the hell realms, because they're denser and darker and more miserable than the one we're living in. And the deeper you go down those 7, the more dense it becomes. And then there are 7 above us, 7 lokas, and each one is brighter and more filled with joy and bliss, until you come to the light, the transcendent light of the divine. So Avalokiteshvara is trying to help all these souls that are getting denser and darker and sinking deeper into those lower dimensions, and they're sinking faster than she's able to rescue them. And it breaks her heart. Her heart is shattered into like 10,000 pieces. And Amitabha Buddha, the Buddha of infinite light, saw the compassion, the commitment, and the suffering of Kuan Yin, and that she was blown apart into pieces by just her heart breaking at the suffering of people. And he put her together. brought all the pieces together, and from that point on, Avalokiteshvara could be in many places at the same time, and has always chosen to be in this world incarnate constantly. So that's the Buddhist story of souls sinking into these deeper realms. Of course, she can do a lot more to help them now. Okay, so let's talk about, why does it say Jesus died for our sins? Okay, so we're talking about a heap of karma, a big heap. Our individual karma is what would keep us stuck here and coming back over and over again. Collectively, it's what keeps the human race in its current state of insanity. And we've been trying to get out of this for countless thousands of years. We've never been able to free ourselves. It's always required divine intervention or grace on some level, whether it was Avalokiteshvara or the Buddha or another way teacher. Christ took this on in a big way. So I quoted this scripture last week. Isaiah 53 verse 4 and 5 says, surely, and this was written centuries before Jesus was ever born. And Isaiah was talking, great prophet, talking about the future Messiah that was going to come. And he says, speaking of that Messiah, surely he has carried our sicknesses and carried our pains, or borne our sicknesses. It literally says he's taken them away. He's borne away our sicknesses and carried our pains, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God and afflicted. Isaiah is saying that's the religious point of view. People have said, well, God was angry about sin, so he had to mete out punishment, and Jesus didn't want us to get the punishment, so he said, here, punish me, Father. That's not at all. So listen to what Isaiah says. Yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God and afflicted, but he was wounded by our transgressions. He was bruised by our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace, our wholeness, our prosperity, our well-being was upon him, and by his wounds we're healed. So he took the effect of the karmic ripples that had been sent out, that are coming back. It says, he was wounded by our transgressions. He said, here, I'll take it for you so that you can make it through this journey. That's the simple answer. And I shared that last week, and he did it in a huge way. He embraced the collective darkness of humanity. And in doing that, it killed him. It killed him. Not God killed him. I know the Romans, crucified him, but what killed him was the density and the darkness that he personally took on for all of humanity. And he said that what would happen is that he would descend into the lowest realms, that he would descend into the heart of the earth, into Hades, for 3 days and 3 nights. Did I just lose again? No. Okay. We're having electrical issues. Before I get through this, I won't be surprised if anything happens. Let me finish this. So he was dragged down for 3 days and nights into the lowest hell realm. And the thing is, he didn't have any density or darkness of his own at all. There was actually no way that the lower lokas, the hell realms, could hold him, because he had no personal density, darkness, or karmic or debt of sin. And so when he was done, it's like he blew the gates of Hades right off their hinges, and he began to ascend. And he ascended up through all of the lower lokas, the lower realms. He picked up his body. He spent some time on earth in his body, and then he ascended all the way up to the light, to the highest loka and beyond. And in doing that, he opened, like an icebreaker cutting through the Arctic, he opened a tunnel, if you will, or a shaft where there wasn't one, from the lowest hell realm directly up through all the lokas into the light. And this is a very little understood part of the work, the mystical work that the Christ did. It's the part from the cross to the throne. Very little is known about it. Here's a scripture, Ephesians 4, 8 through 10. When he ascended on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts to his people. Now this, he ascended, what does it mean? But that he also first descended into the lower parts of the earth. He who descended is also the one who ascended far above all the heavens, that he might fill all things. This statement, he led captivity captive, refers to all the souls that were trapped in those lower lokas that couldn't, once they had descended into them, were stuck there for a long time. The Hebrews had a tradition, they called it Abraham's bosom, that the righteous dead still didn't get to ascend and go right into the light. They went into this sort of a holding place called Abraham's bosom. I mean, it was better than the other lower realms for sure. But this scripture is saying that when Christ ascended, he led the captives up in his ascension. And so he was emptying the lokas, of souls that needed to move toward the light. In India, we did a lot of meditations about doing that very thing, helping the ancestors and others to wake up. Whatever loka you're in, whether it's a lower one or a higher one, wake up and look up. Keep going to the light. Merge with the light. But he cleared that way for souls that were stuck, for all of humanity, for anybody that wants to go that way. Just one more scripture, 1 Peter 3, verse 18 through 20, says, "For Christ also suffered once for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but made alive by the Spirit, by whom also he went and preached to the spirits in prison, who formerly were disobedient in the days of Noah." It's saying that all the souls that perished in the flood, only 8 people survived according to the story. All the other souls descended into the lower realms, and it says that Christ went and preached to them so that even though they had died in the flesh, they could be alive in the spirit and begin to rise. So is that what you wanted me to share, that part of it?
Well, all of it.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
Great. Yeah.
All right.
No, he does a great job with that. So what I've taken away over the years of being with Michael from that is the more that we believe and the more we have faith and trust in the divine presence, we have access to that tunnel. And just to even be aware, to know that it's there is very, very comforting, because a lot of us have misconceptions about the whole crucifixion and resurrection story and the deeper meaning of it, which is just another form of programming and controlling people. So,
well, Stacy just weighed in.
Yeah.
And she said, "It's a big ball of wax I threw out there." Yeah.
I gave Michael some time to organize the best response, so thank you for throwing that wax out. Needs to grease the works of everybody's soul.
It's a big ball of wax I threw out there. Thank you for expounding. I wish more traditions made this pivotal sacrifice as clear as you did. About all they do is offer rote sentences. It's true. Mm-hmm. And very little is understood about, it's the most important, the only evidence, because they asked him, what evidence do you give that you're who you say you are, the Christ avatar, the Christ, the Messiah? He said, only one. Only one will be given you. You're looking for signs and wonders. And he said, that's, you're off, you're missing it. Signs and wonders don't prove anything. But I will descend into the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights and then rise. That's the only evidence I'm going to give you. So that's kind of cool. All right, we got some other questions here, and we still have a few minutes. So, my first question is, what kind of role do ancestors have in our health, wealth, and relationships? I'm Native American Indian Plains Cree and was raised by that lineage. My father, who I'm estranged from, is a Cambodian Vietnamese refugee, And I sometimes wonder how much a powerful impact it's affected me when I know about him, asking a prayer for me and my health and protection. The ancestors play a huge role. We are physically, in our genetics, we are a manifestation of our ancestors' genetics. They're beginning to learn, and we knew it all along, but science is beginning to learn that experience and learning is passed on through DNA as well, through genetics. But basically, everything that we enjoy and everything we don't enjoy, we've inherited from our ancestors. We owe them a great debt of gratitude, thanksgiving, and appreciation. And most of us have forgotten our ancestors. I had to really dig just to dig up and remember my great-grandparents' names. And my great-great-grandparents, I still don't, I haven't learned their names. That's just sad. We learned in India that part of the path of awakening is to express gratitude to your ancestors. It's not ancestor worship. It's, wow, thank you for this life that I'm enjoying because of all the sacrifices you made and the efforts that you took for us to have this wonderful life now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Another part is, hey, what loka are you hanging out on now, ancestor? Let me point you to the light. And there are whole pujas and rituals we did to with conch horns, to awaken the souls of the ancestors wherever they might be on whatever loka, and start getting them through with divine, because we can't do it alone, but with divine help to start to rise and move toward the light and not stop. It's tempting to stop when you get into the upper lokas, because it's said that the next loka above earth is like 100 times more blissful. And the one above that is 100 times more blissful. So when you pop into one of these higher lokas, you think, I'm in heaven, man. I could stay here forever. And you kind of could stay there forever, but we want to keep moving and merge with the divine light.
Another important part of that process too is to ask your ancestors for forgiveness for forgetting them or for anything that you may have done to offend them, and also to forgive them for anything that they may have done in their lifetime or lifetimes that that may have impacted you. So seeking forgiveness and forgiving is a really good element to that prayer also.
Grandpa, I forgive you for giving me your bald gene.
And please forgive me for forgetting great-grandma and grandpa's names.
So there's all of that. There's thanking them, asking their forgiveness, just remembering and connecting with them, and helping them in their path of liberation. And praying for them that the divine, the Great Spirit, will help them to continue to awaken and continue to rise. Because you can spend eons in one of these lower or upper planes and not really be moving up or down. It's like there's no time. So
you can always ask, give yourself the blessing while you're doing that meditation or process, and ask for a lot of grace to assist you in it.
And your father, whom you're estranged from, Cambodian Vietnamese, wow, so much has happened. And that's another part of this, ancestral karma. Our ancestors, if we're alive today, our ancestors were victorious in war. Everybody fought. Everybody's been fighting forever on this planet. And there's, I mean, if you live in North America and you're a Caucasian European, a culture's been built here on the lives of millions of Native Americans. There's karma in that. Well, I could say, well, I wasn't there. I didn't do it. I love my Native American friends. Well, I do, but you see, because I'm enjoying this life, part of the reason I'm here is because my ancestors carved out this life on the backs of the Native American people whose lands this was. That's just an example. Cambodia and Vietnam have had a long, difficult history, that part of the world, and there's probably ancestral karma. So we need to deal with that ancestral karma as well. And how do you do that? Well, part of it is a little unpleasant because we have to awaken to that karmic load that we're carrying. And then we do the divine inner work, prayer and meditation.
Just like we've learned in quite a few traditions embrace this, is that, like there's 7 levels above and 7 levels below, but we also learned that whatever we do in this life will affect 7 generations after us. And so we're also affected by 7 generations back. So if you're going to do some kind of clearing or releasing or meditation on ancestors, be aware that any lightness, any movement of the past is going to affect the future as well.
And anything that we do, if we incur negative karma now, that will be passed on to our children and our children's children, 7 generations.
Right.
It's interesting, that idea, because that teaching is the Jewish Hebrew teaching, and it's also Vedic teaching. Very different traditions, totally different parts of the world. And the mystics, the holy people of both Hinduism and Judaism, have seen this transference or passing on to the 7th generation. So there must be something to it, I think. Tristan's second question is, what role does an Antaryaman have? Have you seen yours? Antaryaman is the indweller. And in some traditions in India, you need to invite one of the gods to come in and possess you. And the role that it would play is that it consumes your ego and dissolves you into oneness with itself. That's the teaching. That's not the way I see it. I see it that you are an emanation of the divine right now, and that at the center of your being already is the indweller, which is the Paramatma, the God within. And the role of the God within is to awaken and transform your life and shine through you.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
I'm not comfortable with inviting something else to come in. That's kind of the lazy person's way.
Well, it's like you're missing something.
Yeah, you're missing the step of creating that intimate relationship with the divine within us.
But since it just means indweller, and if we understand that the indwelling God is already there, and that's what we're calling the Antaryaman, okay. It's this other idea that says human nature can't be divinized, it can't be fixed. All you can do is invite Shiva in to consume you. Well, Shiva's already inside of you. Brahma's already inside of you. Vishnu's already inside of you. The whole universe is inside of you, in your heart. The outer world is just a reflection of that inner universe. So that's the long and the short of it. Michael Christopher says, please send prayers to the Cayman Islands and the rest of the Caribbean who are facing Hurricane Beryl. We certainly will. Ekaterina sends love. John Lewis says, I told a former boss that you have to have patience to do this job. He said the only people who need patience are doctors. A little humor? Good one, John.
Yeah, funny.
Danny Bell, responds to Michael Christopher's request for prayer for the Caribbean and the Caymans. And Danny says, surrounded in prayers. Yes. John writes on, in a vision of the crucifixion, the atmosphere was that of two groups of animals trying to rip each other apart. Well, that's interesting. My vision was a little different, and I really don't have time to share that. I found it very life-changing. I actually was transported in a vivid vision to the scene of the crucifixion, and it changed me forever. Maybe we'll talk about it sometime. And Stacy's comment about the big ball of wax. John Lewis says, the First Nation tribes fought among themselves long before the so-called white man came, so it seems that all have karma. That's true. The Native Americans were, and are still, some of the tribes are still working out, the blood feuds that have gone on for generations. But that in no way absolves the white man from what we did in the Americas, North, Central, and South America, and all over the world.
Right. I think pretty much every group or cluster, and you can take it on different levels. Like we have a country karma, we've got a family karma, we've got different racial karma, for different races, and there's all these different layers of our karma. So it's important that we live each day trying to be the best person that we can, and forgiveness is really, really big at the top of asking for forgiveness and seeking forgiveness when you're looking at anything in life, but especially with ancestors.
But it's true, John, we all have karma, and that's why we need help with it. And that's why Christ did what he did. That's why the Bodhisattvas are doing what they're doing. That's why Gayatri in the Vedic tradition helps lift that. Because we've just put so much darkness out there that without some divine intervention to help lift that, we're being crushed. And right now, humanity's being crushed by its karma because we need to humble down,
Yeah.
And face our stuff and deal with it. So, all right. This is going to be the
express version.
The express version. So go ahead and close your eyes and open your heart to the presence. As you begin to be flooded with the flowering heart blessing, just drink it in. The divine already knows what you need. It's not judging you. It's drawing you in. That's all the divine wants, is to draw you into oneness through love. So just let go and receive the grace of the presence. Whatever problem you're carrying, whatever burden, just let go. Give it to the divine and relax. soaking it in. Imagine we're sitting in a circle with our eyes closed. Lift up your hands with your palms open, facing forward. And let us all together take a strong intention for the presence to pour the flowering heart blessing through us to all the others in the circle as it's flowing back to us through all of them. See the planet Earth in the middle of our circle, a beautiful blue translucent planet, and let us send blessing to the Caribbean, to the Caymans, to all the people who are being affected by Hurricane Beryl, and to those who could be affected in the future. Let us take a strong intention for this storm to slow down, to dissipate and disappear. For people's lives and homes to be protected. Divine mercy and intervention for all in the path of the storm until it dissipates and ceases. We invite legions of angels to pour through into the earth, to guard, to keep, to help all the people affected by Beryl. Tristan, for your intentions, for health and protection. Danny, for your intentions. For the intentions of all those that are with us tonight in the Satsang and all those who will tune in and join this circle in the future. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now you could relax and open your eyes. Begin to make direct eye contact with Suzanne and or me as we begin the light meditation. In this meditation, Suzanne and I are flooded with oceans of divine presence and grace and love and light. And it simply pours through every particle of our being, especially through our eyes, which mystics call the doorways of the soul. As you keep gazing at That's all you have to do. Just keep gazing at least one of our eyes. The light streams out through our eyes, into your eyes, through your eyes, into your heart of hearts, causing the light, awakening, the fires of divine love to shine brighter and brighter and brighter within you. Just keep looking and receive. There's nothing else to do. eyes now. Meditate with us a few more minutes as the grace you've received settles within. Now keep meditating as long as it feels right to you. Also, you could lie down nearby in Shavasana. That's to lie on your back comfortably with your eyes closed, your arms loosely at your sides, with your palms open, turned upward, and just dissolve in the presence with gratitude. You can just spend the rest of the night that way. We love you much.
Much love, light, and blessings.
Until we meet again, know that the divine within us beholds the divine in you, and we bow to you.
Namaste.
Namaste.